Special Forces veteran Dean Stott has dealt with military coups and kidnappings and now rescues people from war zones for a living. But he says his most difficult decision was to leave wife Alana 12 hours after she gave birth to their third child to film his hit Netflix show. "I have an incredibly understanding wife," he says. "That was probably one of the hardest moments in my entire life." The decision to film the toughest forces on Earth has turned him into a global TV star as millions follow the adventures of Dean, 47, and his two U.S. veteran sidekicks. The trio of tough guys train alongside the world's most feared military units in the show considered Netflix's most dangerous ever. It has made the top 10 in 61 countries and the top 5 in 16, and one fan is Dean's old friend and military comrade, Prince Harry. "All my military friends have reached out about the show," he says. "I wanted to make sure that it remained authentic because my biggest critics are my military friends, including Harry. So if they are liking the show, I know I've done well." Dean's long forces career before the show made him the perfect choice to front it with ex-Navy SEAL Ryan Bates and former Ranger Cameron Fath. Raised in a Scots Army family and growing up in Swindon, he says, "I actually wanted to be a fireman, but after school there were about 2,000 applicants for one job in 1993. I ended up working in a surf shop in Newquay. My father told me I had wasted my education, so I told him I would join the military." He said it'd last 2 minutes, and that was my driving force, to prove him wrong. In the end, he lasted 16 years until a parachuting accident cut his career short. Dean joined up aged 17, serving in the Royal Engineers before transferring to the Special Boat Service, SBS, 10 years later in 2006. He was one of the first Army applicants to be accepted into the elite unit, partly thanks to having already worked as a diving instructor. The following year he struck up a friendship with Prince Harry after meeting him during a training course. Dean says, "Him and I were partnered off together and we have just maintained that friendship and relationship ever since. We support each other. I'm a big fan of the Invictus Games. I'm a big fan of anything to do with veterans, especially around the mental health aspect." Dean was forced to leave the forces in 2011 when his leg got caught in his parachute rigging during a jump. During his fight for compensation, he enlisted the Royal British Legion's help and has raised tens of thousands for charities like them ever since. In 2018, he cycled 14,000 miles from Argentina to Alaska along the Pan-American Highway, raising £1 million for Prince Harry's Heads Together mental health charity. Despite having little experience on two wheels, he became the first person to do it in under 100 days. But it meant he nearly missed getting back home for the wedding of his old mate Harry to Meghan in Windsor that May. Receiving his invitation in the middle of the challenge, Dean said it was his new motivation to finish the ride, calling his achievement a bit surreal still. Last weekend his achievements were recognized in the King's Birthday Honours list, when he received an MBE for his services to sport, humanitarian efforts, and mental health awareness. He says, "I don't easily get shocked, but that was one of the occasions that shocked me. It's nice to be recognized in such a way, and I always say the world only sees 30% of what we do, so to be recognized for some of that 70% was great." Since leaving the forces, Dean has become a private global security consultant, which takes him to hot spots around the world. His jobs have included evacuating the Canadian embassy in Libya in 2014 and getting hundreds out of Israel after the October 7 Hamas attacks. He found celebrity status before the Netflix show by appearing in Channel 4's Spies in 2017 and on SAS Australia in 2022. He now lives in Orange County, California, with wife and business partner Alana, 41. Who got her own MBE a year earlier for her work supporting vulnerable women and mental health awareness, and their 3 children. Alana helps Dean with his endeavors and organizes his private missions and fundraising. So she was happy to be left holding the baby when he started a year-long filming for his show in September 2022, just after their youngest was born. Talking about the events of October 7, he explained how he flew to the Middle East hours after the Hamas attack, which killed around 1,200 people. "I saw it on the news, and within 30 seconds, we were getting calls from friends," he says. "A lot of people were asking when I was going, and then a couple of close friends of ours from Sri Lanka told us his aunt and uncle were on a tour in Bethlehem. So, my wife let me know. She had booked my tickets and I was going out there to help. Wed just got home from Disneyland, but I was there in 24 hours, helping the first family. They had cancelled all American flights to Israel from LA, but Alana saw one that had opened up with an Israeli airline and booked me on for that. Unlike previous evacuations, I had no connections in Israel. Normally, I have safe houses, vehicles, security drivers, etc., so I was going in blind. He found hundreds of U.S. families who were visiting and were desperate to get home, and used contacts had made during filming with Netflix in Jordan to evacuate them from there. We managed to get over 200 people out, he says. I normally keep these missions private on social media, but for this, we wanted people to know we were there and could help if they needed it. 14 American students and one Indian student who were stranded in a Bible college in the Old City of Jerusalem were desperate for help after their flights were canceled. Within 45 minutes of seeing our social media posts, I had a message from someone at the college, Dean recalls. 48 hours later, we managed to get all 15 of them out of Israel at no cost on a chartered flight. Now enjoying time at home, as he celebrates the success of the Netflix show, Dean says one of his most difficult filming experiences was in the Arctic. He says, in the Arctic with the Swedish Power Rangers, that environment is very harsh. The following month, we were then in the jungles in Colombia. You go from 30°C to 30°C. But for Dean, weather has dealing with counter-terrorism, pirates, perilous weather or simply breaking world records, it's all in a day's work.